Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mariela Salinas, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Educate 360. Welcome to today's webinar. What is the Project Management Professional, or the PMP certification, presented by the Managing Director at Velopi, Seamus Collins. We are using Zoom for today's session, and we will be sharing a copy of this recording with you in an email after the webinar. We do encourage participation throughout the webinar, so please use the chat or the Q&A option for our short Q&A portion after the presentation. Educate 360 is so excited to present this webinar today. I will now hand it over to you, Seamus.
Okay, thank you, Mariella. I look forward to talking to you about PMP certification. And as I said, I do this most days. I get this standard set of questions about the PMP. So it's good to get a group of people together and hopefully answer the queries around this. Just as I start off, I suppose to just draw your attention to this little logo here on the first slide. It says Project Management Institute Authorized Training Partner. And that's what Velopi is. We're aligned with the PMI. We're approved by the PMI. We give their courses. And one of the main courses is this PMP certification course. Now, I'll talk to you about that a little bit more. And the presentation is quite short, but very often the people coming to me or coming to us, they have a few questions. They're saying, well, what's PMP? And they're mixing up words like PMP, PMI, and just want to explain that to you. And then why would you want it? And I suppose that's the key thing is, try and, what advantage would it give you? And then once people realize the advantage, like maybe a lot of you here today, you might say, how do I get it? And I want to explain to you our process for getting the certification and passing that exam. And also I want to show you some of the course content, because there's no point in, someone coming on a course and then going, oh, I didn't know this was going to be like this, or was expecting something different. So I'll just give you a sneak preview of some of the content in there so that at least you say, actually, that's interesting to me. I want to learn more about that. And then I'm going to talk to you about our process for certification, how it manages you from the time we meet you today until you pass your PMP exam in, a few months from now or whatever, if you decide to go that route. Okay. So let's make a start. First off, some language. PMI, Project Management Institute, PMP, Project Management Professional. So the PMI is the global body or governing body for this project management. And again, they're well recognized and they have a lot of members. They have chapters in most cities and countries in the world. And one of their main certifications is called PMP, Project Management Professional. Now, they have other certifications in program management, risk management. They have entry-level certifications like the Certified Associate in Project Management. But the PMP is probably the one that they're most known for. And that's one thing I draw your attention to, is that there are so many different certifications in any line of work. In project management is no different. But whatever certification you do go for, either make sure it comes from the PMI or make sure it comes from an academic body like university. And that's here in Velopi what we do. We align ourselves with the PMI, or we align ourselves with University College Cork or a university, so that at least what you're getting is sound and academically credible or professionally credible. And it's not some training provider making up their own version of some standard and saying, this is our cert or this is our diploma. So it's not. This is from the PMI, and it does stand up in your career. So why would you want it? Well, I suppose a lot of people want it because in your office or at work, you can't get a job at a certain level unless you have the PMP. So the PMP is a prerequisite in many companies for you to do a project of a particular size. If you're job hunting, you'll see it popping up all over the place: PMP preferred, PMP required, PMI certification required, etc. You need it. And I suppose, but what is it at the end of the day? It's a certification that says project management is so a lot of to us are exam getting the certification have more there is being project for the one word. What do I mean by that? Like 20 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. Our work now have a scope, but resources, budget, stake. So more and more people are using that language of project management and the tools of project management to get. So that's the first. So, section manager, or you're a section, you're a project engineer, or you're a project management in most roles, because there's projects in every business. Okay. So project managers, but the acknowledgement out there and from these PMI, again, pulse of the profession, the survey would say that 10% of the money in a lot of projects, in a lot of companies, is wasted due to poor project management practices. Some projects bringing no benefit to the organization. Now, some of our customers would admit that 9% maybe is a bit low, so they might say it could be 20, 30% of projects bring no benefit. So if you're spending 100 million a year on projects, and even that's a lot of money, 10% being wasted because the people aren't trained, they're not using the latest thinking, they're not using the latest methods, they don't know what they don't know. So we don't want more project managers, we do, but we want better project managers. We want people to do things efficiently and effectively within the constraints that we have to get the work done. As simple as that. Okay. Why would you want it? Now, I said to you already that that you need to be thinking, what's in this for me? Well, it's very much often a way of future-proofing yourself. And we'd see a lot of people moving within organizations, using project management as the vehicle to get around. Now, what do I mean by that? They might be in a certain business unit. They've delivered some project, they have some project management capability. And then 6 months later, we see them in a different business unit, but they're using project management as the skill set to get them recognized. And they might say, well, I don't fully understand the technical aspects of every part of our business, but the project management methodology and the tool set is why the boss or the senior director got me to come over here, because he moved or she moved, or the business needed this critical project delivered. So we see that quite a lot. We see people moving jobs and using project management as the vehicle to move around. But the bottom line for a lot of people is that you get the certification. It's not the company, it's you yourself get the certification. And the salary surveys would indicate that people that are certified get higher rates of pay. Okay, so again, there's something in it for you. And if you haven't done any certification of note, since you've left college, or in the last 5 years or 10 years, this is probably a good one to do, whether you're a project manager and want to underpin many years of experience, and this is your career path, and you're going to go from project to program manager or to portfolio manager even. That's great. Some people are doing it because they might be, I don't know, a section manager or something, and they're saying, actually, yeah, I'd like to get some certification, and project management is a big part of my job because all my team run projects. I probably should be certified myself so I can lead them, et cetera, et cetera. So we see people coming at this from a lot of different angles. Now, next one. How do you get it? And I suppose how do you get it is you need to pass a multiple choice exam, right? And that's the end game here for all of this. The exam is nearly 4 hours in duration. It's 180 multiple choice questions. But before you ever see the exam center, you must do a 5-day training course. The PMI wants you to have 35 hours of project management education. And that's what we do here at Velopi. We have the materials, we have the trainers, we've been vetted by the PMI. We pay a license to them for the official materials, etc. They've checked our quality systems, our trainers, our processes, etc. And so we've got it, this mapped out, and we've got the latest materials, as I said. So it's pretty well tried and trusted process in terms of starting off doing an application with us and working your way through to the certification exam. Now, the application form is one of the things you have to fill out. And I suppose in here, the PMI wants you to have 3 years of project management experience if you have a degree, or 5 years if you do not have a degree. Now, I know there'll be some people here panicking, thinking, hang on, Seamus, I was never called the project manager. But the thing about it is this, it's not about your job title. It's really your experience. And what I mean by that is, you might not have been called the project manager, but when you ask a person and talk to them, they might say, oh, I was the validation lead or commissioning lead. And you'd say, okay, but what work were you doing? And they'd say, I was scoping stuff out. I used to have to sort out the timelines. I had to manage the resources. I used to send updates to my boss. I used to put mitigations and contingency plans in place for risk. And I'd say, oh, so you're the project manager. And they go, well, I suppose, yeah, in a way, So again, it's a matter of looking at what you have been doing and putting that together in your application. And most people that are working in industry, a big part of their job is usually project management, whether you're the commissioning lead, the section manager, there's projects everywhere. So it's a case of looking back through you can go back up to 8 years. We help you piece that together because we'll say, no, that doesn't work. That wasn't a project. Or we'll say, actually, that was a project. Tell me more about that. So we'll help you write up your application as well. Okay. So again, it's a straightforward enough process, about an hour usually to do the application form. Another thing I'd like to talk to you, I suppose I said, was to show you some of the content. And a lot of people that did the original PMP exam, or, many years ago, they might have talked to you saying, oh, it's very all about processes. What does this process produce? And it was very maybe academic. But the PMI, if you think about it, I suppose, is constantly evolving, and the way or thinking at work constantly evolves. Your boss is not interested in just initiating with a view to delivering some deliverable. Your boss and your business really wants to know, why are we doing these things? What value or benefit are we getting? So people are executing processes, but you're executing processes in a business environment with a view to bringing benefit or value to your organization. But notice here now that it's not all about processes anymore. There's the acknowledgement is that people do the work, and you need to have some cop on about the environment you're working in, because your boss is going to be asking you questions about benefit, return on investment, net present value. Is this strategically aligned? All those types of things. So you need to be able to answer questions, about the benefit of the project. You need to manage people because as they do the work, it's not just about executing processes. And I suppose that's why the PMP now, and a lot of people go on the course, is that it's not kind of the hard skills of project management, scope, time, cost, quality. That stuff is all still in there. But there's a huge focus now in the course on building teams, managing conflict. And if you think about it, that's probably the hardest part of being a project manager at times. So you can build a schedule, you can put mitigations and contingency in place, but can you manage the stakeholders? Can you build a team? Can you get the team to work for you? And can you answer questions around benefit realization? Are you comfortable with that idea of strategic alignment? Are you comfortable with the idea of ROI, net present value, all those concepts? And again, so that's why a lot of people go on it, because it's touching so many different things that benefit people in industry. It's no longer just the certification, I would say, for project managers. We see a lot of people coming on it to round out their skill set and knowledge on a range of topics. To give you more a feel then of what's in here, historically in the past, the PMI had a book called the PMBOK, the Project Management Body of Knowledge, and the exam was very often just based on that. But the new exam in the last 3-4 years has expanded the base, and that's a good thing, because there's so many good books on project management out there. They don't have all the knowledge in one book. But you can see here now that the exam now is starting to focus on processes, people, and business. But look at this here. A lot of the exam now is going to focus on agile methods as well. Now, if you're coming from a software background or an IT background, you might be very comfortable with agile. Some people here, maybe from regulated businesses, etc., might be very uncomfortable with agile. And very often they're uncomfortable because they don't know what it means. And the boss is saying, we need to be more agile, or whatever. The business is suggesting you need to be more agile. What does that mean? So we have a lot of people coming on the course, and they're dipping their toe into that agile pond, for the want of a better word, and they're learning in little bits about agile. And in some cases, they'll say, actually, we can't be agile. We have to be waterfall. In other cases, though, they're saying, actually, I know a bit about agile now. We need to go further with this, because there's certain agile concepts and tools and techniques that we can use in certain phases of our project, and we should be using them. So we have a lot of people starting to get a lot of interest by the exposure they get through this course initially. The exam itself is a 180 question multiple choice exam. It's nearly 4 hours in duration. And again, it's 360 question blocks. You do 60 questions, you take a little break, 60 questions, take a little break, another 60 questions. And the clock stops during the breaks. The base now is widened. It's no longer just the project management body of knowledge. There's 10 books now the PMI are basing the exam off. The good news, though, is you do not need to read the 10 books because I've read them, right? And the PMI have read them. And all the knowledge that you need is condensed down into a learning guide based off the thinking in these books. So don't go off reading these books, a total waste of time, because we've it condensed down into a manual for you. So we'll give you a set of notes at the start of the course. We'll give you a learning management system with mock exams. We'll give you help with the application. Everything you need is given to you. You don't need to buy anything else. Okay? But you can see in here, there's a lot of agile and concepts in here that they're starting to try and push into the mainstream. What's in the course itself? Well, there's 6 lessons to be delivered over 5 days. Now, usually we're splitting out the delivery of this. Some companies want to take it in 5 days. Other companies say, we want to do it in 5 days, but we want 2 days, one week, 2 days the following week, 1 day the following week, whatever suits the company, really. It can be delivered in person in your company, or it can be delivered all online over Zoom. So it depends what your preference is, really, or where you're located. What's in the course? So just have a quick look at the content. Lesson 1 is all about that business environment. So it talks about strategic alignment. It talks about governance and compliance. It talks about how to measure benefit. How are you going to justify your project? What benefits will it bring? Are they tangible, intangible? Are they financial, non-financial? Be able to answer those questions. What's the payback period? What's the net present value? What's the ROI? Get comfortable with those types of ideas. But there's also the recognition in here that projects bring change to organizations. And you need to understand a little bit about change management, because you could, build a fabulous product or build something, but will the team actually adopt it? So, just making you aware that projects bring change, and you need to if your project is going to be successful, you need to consider the impact to the organization. So you might have something that's done manually at the moment and you want to automate it. Yeah, you can design the automation, you can put it in, but what change will that make? You need to prep the team for that. You need to train them. You need to reduce that learning anxiety. You need to, make it easy for them to go across, to the new way of working. So again, change management is part of this. Once we've that module done, you quickly get stuck into what I would call initiating and planning. Initiating is all about who are the stakeholders, getting your team together, coming up with that shared understanding in the charter, et cetera, but then determining the approach. Should we be waterfall? Should we be agile? Is it some combination of the two of them? Then we get into planning, the scoping, scheduling, budgeting, all the traditional modules. But in all of these, it talks about not just the waterfall way of approaching it, but how would you create a backlog? How do you estimate durations, etc., in an agile world? So it tries to do both concepts and carries that down through the course, and makes you aware of different ways of approaching scoping, scheduling, sprint planning, etc. And then there's some topics here that people should have a pretty good handle on: risk, quality, and how to integrate that plan and pull it together and say, this is the plan. Once I have a plan, I need to start executing. I need to get the team to do the work. So in here, it talks about, getting the team to work, sorting out conflicts, communication and collaboration, making them own it, not you just constantly trying to push them, get them to carry the can themselves, monitoring and controlling, constantly managing changes, sorting out issues, removing blockers and impediments. How do you monitor and control it? How do you take corrective action, and what's preventative action all about? All those things are in there. And the last module then is like the last half day, where it talks about closing out the projects, doing the lessons learned, transferring the benefit, measuring that benefit that was realized, but also the knowledge transfer. How do we capture the knowledge the team has, so that if we have to do all this again, that there's knowledge to pass on to the next team, and we're not starting from zero the next time out, we have knowledge. Okay. What does Velopi do, or Educate 360, our parent company? I suppose we've got a very good process in place for PMP success at this point. It's not just about the classroom training. It's about all the other things you need to do to pass the exam. So you're not just joining us for the 4 or 5 days in class, you're joining us to work with us for a number of months. And again, it's part-time, obviously, but you're touching base with us to help fill your application. You're doing a mock exam maybe once a week. If you're having trouble, you can come back and get support from us. If there's a change in anything, we'll be keeping you informed. But the exam date is self-selected. So some people will go through this whole process in 5-6 weeks. Some people could take 5 or 6 months because they have a life, they have work, they have holidays. There's loads of things that are trying to grab hours here and there to get through the materials. People sometimes ask me, how long will it take me? And I'd say, well, how smart are you? And I don't say that trivially. It depends. Some people have a lot of industry experience. They can relate to this very quickly and they can pass the exam. Some people are very good at doing exams. They can pass it quicker. Some people may not have experience on all the topics we've discussed here, so they need to consider it. They might say, I'm very good at scheduling and scoping and risk, but stuff on quality there, I don't really get involved with that, or say vendor management or procurement, I don't get involved with that. I need to spend more time studying that. But the average person will wrap it up in 5 or 6 weeks or a few months. Some people would say that you probably need somewhere between 20 and 40 hours study after the course. But again, it all depends on how good you are, how much experience you have, etc., etc. Main thing I'd like to make clear to you, though, is there is agile content that will help you. It'll make you aware of agile methods. You'll learn a lot, but don't be afraid of it. Some people are saying, oh, I know nothing about agile. You don't need to know. You don't need to be an agile guru. You don't need to be a scrum master. You just need to know the main concepts, and we'll talk you through those and explain them to you in layperson's terms. Okay. We'll also be giving you access to a learning management system. And really, that's the portal where all your materials are for the course. We'll be giving you access to mock exams. So that content is yours, and then you can download that so you have it. But again, we try and give people about 6 months access to the systems, and they work their way through it over the 6 months. As I said, some people will do it in 6-8 weeks. Anything else? Well, the exam is multiple choice, but there's no negative marking. So again, we'll help you build up exam strength and stamina, because that's a big part of this. Because some people it's a long time since somebody did a 4-hour exam. It's about the timing. It's about, understanding not to be changing answers in multiple choice. It's about getting that rhythm right, so that if you get hit with a really nasty question, that you can move on, that you don't lose the timing in there. So again, we're going to give you some mock exams. You'll build up expertise, and you will know going to the exam if you're going to pass it or not. Like if you're well over 70% on our mock exams, you will pass on the day. I've never seen anyone to fail the exam who's been getting a good score in our study mock exams. Why take the course with someone like us? Well, I suppose at the end of the day, we've got the official PMI seal of approval. We're an unauthorized training partner. We've got their materials. They have vetted our trainers. They have looked at our quality system. We have all these mock exams. We support you kind of end to end all the way up along. So you'll get contact details, and we'll help you out as you go along through the process. And that's basically it. Now, I know you might be here today and you might have done something like a 2-day PM Essentials with us before. You might have done the CAPM with us. You might have done Applied Project. There are many routes. But you might now be thinking, maybe now is the time to do the PMP. Now, just one thing before you start asking questions. Sometimes people don't want to ask questions and they want to reach out to someone after. This is my email address. And drop me an email, and I'm happy to have a chat with you privately, answer any questions you have. There's my cell phone number as well. And feel free to reach out. There's no problem. There's no charge to advise them. And in some cases, I might advise you and say, look, this is not the course for you. Okay. More often than not, though, people don't need the phone. You're here today because you're interested. You're here today because you think, I need to take this next step. But procrastination is the killer. Sometimes people are thinking, I leave it a while now. I leave it until after the summer. After the summer, Thanksgiving, no, leave it until after that. Can't do anything until Christmas, and then suddenly there's another year gone. Sometimes I say to people, just bite the bullet. If you're interested, go do it. And if the company is paying for it, all the better. And you'll have your certification by the time, the summer's over. Okay. All right, Mariella, I'll hand back over to you. That was quick, I know, but I'm very conscious it's Friday and people have a life and everything else. They're probably looking forward to getting home to their families and to their social lives, etc. So if there's questions, I'll take them. And if not, I'm happy to talk to people afterwards. All right.
Excellent. Awesome. I'll give our audience a minute to throw any last minute questions if they have it. But other than that, if anyone needs any more info on this topic, please do not hesitate to visit us at velopi.com again. And if you missed out on any part of this session, we will be sharing this recording with you in an email after the webinar. So I believe that should be it. We have a couple questions on the cost, which are
Yes.
all available at for sure 100% velopi.com.
Yeah. And just to be, I suppose, just on the cost, it's a good question, Kristen. You'll see the cost of the course up on our website, which covers you for the materials, which covers you for tuition with us, it covers you for support from us, etc. But always remember that there's an exam fee payable to the PMI, and the exam fee has nothing to do with us, but it's $555 at the moment. So you'll see the prices listed on our website for the course itself, for the exam simulators, the notes, all that stuff is built into our price. But that 555 is payable to PMI. Now, again, some people ask us to bill them for it. So when they're paying for the course, they pay for the exam as well. And then we give them a voucher. So when they go on the PMI website, they just tap in a code. So if that makes it life simpler for you, we can include the cost of the exam in your invoice. And then we give you a voucher for the PMI. So again, if you don't want to be going to your boss twice, one for us and one for the PMI, you might just say wrap it all up together. That would be fine as well.
Awesome. We had
Are
a
there other
couple,
questions?
yeah, we had a couple more come through. Is the exam timed or open book?
It's not. There's two options, right? And I probably should have answered. It's not open book. It is timed, right? So you have 3 hours and 50 minutes to do 180 questions, but it's split into 3 blocks of 60 questions. So you'll do 60 questions in about 75 minutes. You'll take a break, take 10 minutes. That's not counting towards your time, the 10 minutes. You go again, you do another 60 questions in 75 minutes, you take a break, and then you go in and do the last section. Is the exam online or in person? You have 2 options. You can go to an exam center. So when you have your application submitted and we show you how to do that, then you go to schedule your exam. You can pick an exam center in your local area. And a lot of people do that. They say, oh God, there's an exam center 20 kilometers away. I'll go there. And it's a bit like booking a flight, and it depends on availability at the exam center. The other option is to do what we call do the exam from home. And doing the exam from home is what the PMI call a proctored online exam. So basically, you log in at work and you show them your passport or ID, and they verify your ID and say, oh, yeah, you're the real person. And then they ask you to keep your camera on for the next 4 hours, and they do a recording of you as you work your way through the exam. So, but again, it makes no difference. Once you have a good internet connection, you can do it from home. And most people that I would know now would say, I don't need to go to a test center. I'm just going to do it from home. Some people prefer the rigor of going to a test center just in case their internet collapses while they're at home on the one day that they need it. And they say, look, I just go to a test center. I'll have less distractions there. I'll just go in and get it done. That's better for me. So again, you have 2 options. You can do it online, or you can do it from a test center. Any other questions?
I believe that should be it.
Okay.
Yeah. One more came in, but I don't think it's a question.
Is there any other arrangement who want to do the PMP if they've never done project management? Now, the thing about it is, as I said earlier, you might think you have never done project management, but most people have in some shape or form. So, even if you're, I don't know, you could be, unless you're involved in very operational work, most people have done some project management. And it's a case of talking to you really and trying to work out what types of roles have you had. Could some of it be considered project work, and did you manage that work? But if you don't have project management experience for that one, for the PMP, you could decide to come on the CAPM course with us. You don't need any industry, you don't need project management. That's the lower level certification. It's like the entry level certification. Or we also have what's called a level 7 cert in project management, and that's certified by University College Cork. And that's a part-time course. It's delivered online on Tuesdays. You come along, we discuss, say, scoping 1 week for 3 hours. There's breakout rooms. It's an online session. We see you again 2 weeks later, 3 more hours. We discuss scheduling. 2 weeks later, 2 more hours on risk or whatever. So again, if you don't have the experience to do the PMP, some people will say, actually want to get into project management. And we'd say, well, actually, the best one so is probably the level 7 certificate in project management, because there's a lot of great practical work in this. And what I mean by that is, to pass or to get this certificate, we'll give you a case study. And then part of the marks are going for, give me a scope statement, give me a stakeholder register, produce a risk register, produce a budget, etc. So people in a safe university environment build up a lot of practical skills in project management over the few months they work with us. You get your cert in project management at the end, and then at least when you're given project management opportunities, you know what to do. And I suppose that is the route in very often for people. They come along and they might start on some course like this. So don't be thinking the PMP is the first one you should do, because it could be too fast for you. It could be too advanced for you. And you mightn't get enough time to practice, because it's very much geared towards passing an exam. Whereas some people, when I talk to them, I'd say, look, you'd be better off doing this other practical course first and getting practical skills that you can use. And then that later that you can go off and pass the exam. But maybe the PMP is not the first course for you. And I would advise against it. If you don't have the project management experience, do something more practical, because that will benefit you more in the short term. You could pass an exam and have a piece of paper and you still couldn't manage a project. But if you practice the practical skills in this other course, because that's what it's about. It's about workshops. It's about giving people scenarios and saying, work that out for me. What would you do in this scenario? How would you manage these people? How would you manage these risks? How would you manage these stakeholders? So it's very practical and very hands-on. Okay. Hopefully that helps you. Is there any other questions there? Oh, okay. What if our job? Okay, but it's a less formal look. We have people coming to us from all angles. They're from not-for-profits, NGOs, charities, God knows. You don't have to have all parts of project management done to fill out the application form, because again, PMI realized that, like, some of our biggest project managers that come on this course, they might have no control over budget. They might have control over scoping and scheduling and sending out the minutes of the meeting, but they have no control over budget, because they might say, we have a finance person on the team, or we have a risk manager on the team, or we have a supply chain or procurement person on the team. So don't discount what you have. Be thinking, well, in my scenario, I don't do those things. That doesn't make me any less of a project manager. We don't do that stuff here. So again, I'm happy to talk to you about that, Sean, if you want to. But a lot of companies would be like that. You wouldn't be on your own. Okay. Anybody else?
That looks like it from my end.
Okay.
I think we should
Hopefully
be
I've
good
answered
to
a few
go.
questions, and we'll can we get this presentation? Absolutely. You'll get the video, you'll get the presentation, you'll get everything. And again, don't be a stranger. Reach out if you have a question. I'm happy to talk to you guys. All right. Thanks, Mariella. Thanks everybody for attending.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Seamus, and thanks everyone. Bye. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.